both read the book by Malcolm Gladwell, Blink,
Yep.
where he talks about decisions that you make in fractions of a second are about as accurate as decisions that you spend long periods of time stewing over. It's things that you know, but you can't really articulate why you know them. And we talked about how you use this concept constantly in the world of poker. And so you are knowing things without being able to necessarily articulate how you know them. But then the next level of that is, how do I have faith and confidence that what I'm seeing is accurate? So let's imagine that we're sitting here playing poker, and how would you go about picking up on information they're not wanting you to pick up on, and then use that information and have the faith to actionably do something with it? Does this question make sense?
Yeah, this makes perfect sense. I love this question. This is what we've been talking a lot about.
Yeah.
This is actually the number one thing that I love about poker.
Yeah.
Because it is a game of incomplete information, opposed to chess, which I also play competitively. I played in college. I don't know if I told you that.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
On BYU's team. And in chess, it's like you have perfect information. You can make whoever plays the best is going to win. And in poker, you have to make big decisions, kind of guessing sometimes, often.
Yeah.
So for me to answer your question, what I've personally learned is that there's this concept that I have been obsessed with, and it has a lot to do with humility. It's taking your ego and your pride and realizing that you don't, like your thoughts and everything don't really matter as much as you want them to. It doesn't fucking matter, honestly.
That's tough.
And when you can just say, okay, right now, what I think, whenever I'm looking at the table and I really want to gather data, I have to put my mind aside for a second. I have to put my ego aside, and I have to look at everything objectively, and I'm not judging it. I'm just watching. I'm just simply an observer. And so I'm not saying I'm not thinking, but what I mean is a lot of people will look at something and say, oh, they said this, and that means this. And it even goes as far as that, oh, this person said he's an attorney. And maybe in my mind, I already have a picture of what attorneys look like and how they act like and how they think and their weaknesses and their strengths. And if I'm not careful, I can take my projection of what I understand as a lawyer and put that on this person because he said he's a lawyer or she said she's a lawyer. And what that does is I'm going to miss out on a lot of data because I have already determined what these things are. Does that make sense? So it's like I'm blocking my own mind a lot. Whereas they're a lawyer, it's like, okay, I'm going to put aside what I think as a lawyer, and maybe very fundamental things like they're a lawyer, they do this as a job, or they run a firm. But maybe...
Or that they have money. Maybe they don't.
Or they have money. Yeah, all the things that I would normally assume, though they might be correct, they might not be correct. It doesn't matter. Right now is the time to gather data. Mm-hmm. And it's to create baselines. So... So that's a huge part of it, is gathering the data, is watching with genuine curiosity to understand, and not putting so much of my own interpretation of what things mean yet. There's a time for that later. There is a time where you do need to take your thinking and you take all of the data that you've compiled, and then you take all of it within context, and then you make a decision with it. But you can't ever acquire all that data whenever your mind is already full of your own interpretation of what you've previously thought in your life. In life, I genuinely think that this might be one of the biggest stumbling blocks for people. And I think this is one of the thing that I work on more than anything. As a philosopher, I studied philosophy in college, and I study it daily. And I think it's the ability to have the clarity and to say, I don't know, and I'm aware that I have my biases or my preconceived notions on things. So put that aside. Having the ability to put that aside and humble yourself. And what you think doesn't matter, you don't even know. So you watch people and you gather intel. You say, oh, I'm noticing that this person seems a little active. Or I'm noticing that their energy is high.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not saying, therefore, that means that this person is an aggressive player. Oh, this person's a big guy and he talks loud. Therefore, he's going to bluff every time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where poker gets dangerous. Like that's where people make big mistakes because determinations like that compound, and it leads you down extremely wrong paths a lot. And that's not just poker. That's like life in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just having the ability to create a blank slate and gather the data without judging it, if you can have that skill in poker, you will be a superstar. Even the best and the best of pros can't do that very well. It's something that I obsess over, and it's become a spiritual thing for me almost. Does that answer a little bit of the